Literally every generation since the beginning of time has had some child where they are advanced beyond all comprehension or capabilities, but yet we still treat them like they're weird. I never understand when it comes to any type of advancement in society why we don't listen to the kids or the people who are saying, hey, I know this seems different and I know this seems like it's not something that we normally would follow, but hey, maybe we should try to follow the answer, follow the path and see why is there a certain group of people who believe in something so strongly, but other people don't, like spirituality and consciousness. I'm like, it's not even about a belief system. You are spiritual. You are breathing spirituality. Remember, we do not control the breath or air that comes into our body. So even if we say this is science, well, it existed before science. So science is only an explanation for man. It's not the answer. It's an explanation of what we don't have answers to because it's still an unknown to us, right? This is why we research and research and research and break it down to the very minutia, down to the very cellular level, so that we can then say, well, if we had these other elements and we put these things together, we might get the same result. Maybe very Frankenstein of us, but the point is that these are the types of minds that we want to encourage, not just the ones where we bully them into submission and then they become little evil geniuses and then they start running amok like you know who around the world, certain billionaires. I am never one to hate on someone accomplishing or how God favors them. Go for it. But what I do have an issue with is how other humans decide how we receive information from things that we're not readily going to usually receive information from, which is new technology, new advancements, new things that we aren't yet capable of understanding, but we rely on. One of the biggest ones right now is AI. I don't understand why as humans we get mad at things that literally we are going to have to monitor and create and dictate anyways. Every machine that's ever existed on some level has taken over, right? Cell phones have taken over. Digital laptops have taken over. Tell me the last time you wrote a hand letter to anybody, right? You're using a computer, a text. So it's not that technology's bad. It's not that advancement is bad. It's that people in the and not even in the wrong hands and incapable hands are going to misuse it. It is always going to be misused by those who don't understand that technology is meant to advance and expand our understanding of life, not just simply make things easier for us. Yes, it makes things easier, but it also gives us the capability and the opportunity as the super microchip computers we are to then focus on other things that makes more sense to the human psyche consciousness as well as the soul path where we're like, why are we here? What am I doing here? I feel trapped. Because that's the point. We're supposed to find ways to advance the human and the soul together, which then advances the consciousness. Remember, I always say the soul is not God. The soul is literally an entity or a fractal piece of source that is allowing us to live out these different observations and perspectives and viewpoints or vantage points that we have, right? The soul is supposed to reawaken to its consciousness of source, which is there's life pulsing through me. There's something that's magical where I can just get an idea, aha, from somewhere. Not know in the future people are going to need it, rely on it, and love it. I just know source spoke to me. I got to go create it. I got to go build this thing, right? Like the little avatars we are, the little Sims we are, we got to go do it. That's how it works when you really tap into your intellectual spirit as well as your smart, adaptable, conscious body. Because the thing is, a lot of the times we will trust something else telling us the truth over trusting our own intuition. Beyond AI, we still went to what? A mentor, a teacher, somebody who studied what? Books and information and research of what? Other human beings, observations, right? No one person is smarter than the other. We're a collective conscious who put things together. There are some who are more in tune and they bring greater advancements to this earthly plane that we then get to utilize for a bigger purpose. But everyone is capable of tuning in and tapping in. Some of us, as we call chosen ones, come here just knowing, and we focus on just knowing, and we're not worried about what other people say or call us or think of us because we already know whatever we're doing is a reason for it, and it's going to come into play into this life or after we're gone. Remember, when you are a inventor, when you are a creator, when you are an entrepreneur, it is not about just you. I mean, if you are going into it only for you, you might get some benefits, but it's going to be short-lived. If you are really going into creation energy and research energy and advancement energy for the environment and for the world and for humanity, then you understand it's going to be beyond you when you pass this earth. That's the living legacy, and that's the legacy afterwards. That if you do the right work, your footprint will be left and others will follow. And they will reward you for it, however you choose to be rewarded for it. Again, I am not here to get praise. I am here to hopefully have other people who think like me say, I'm not alone. Because to me, that's the most important part of any of this experience on the spiritual journey, is knowing I'm not alone. Because sometimes it feels like you are so alone and you don't know. And that's the part where having a little bit of just camaraderie like we have on TikTok and other types of little ways that we make subcultures and tribes of like-minded people. I always tell people it's fine to have others who think like you and feel like you, but don't just become one entity of a mind where you as the individual stop thinking and you only go with the hive mind. That's when it gets dangerous, because now you are just basically a sleeper cell and you're not doing anything for yourself. You're just a part of this imprinting of consciousness that was given to you. And so I always ask people, when you feel something is different or new and it just keeps driving you, like when I say the emotional intelligence thing came out of nowhere for me, when I say I had an awakening, when I was like the probably most shallow person ever, all I cared about was look, shopping, and getting it in. This was my 20s. I didn't know. I was always rewarded for the simple, shallow stuff. Until one day, I ended up in the hospital for more than 5 days, and no one showed up. No one knew I was there. That's when my aha, literally kicked in, and I was like, oh, there's more to this earthly thing and this human thing than I'm realizing. And then I started to say, well, there's more to my understanding of life, where I was like, respectively so, with my understanding of technology as well as where we are as far as humans, I knew that we were not going to get too far with any new advancement, no matter how advanced the weapon or medicine of understanding, if the human themselves was not advanced. If we are not able to advance past our own stuff, again, look at history. Most of history, majority of all of history, is based on somebody else's inability to focus on their own emotions, and instead they rally people together to go destroy or conquer or whatever they have to do, to the point that now we have all these advancements in the world, but no one is utilizing it properly because we're not emotionally wise enough or conscious enough to apply it or make it applicable in situations that are necessary. That's why I say you have to understand, anytime you hear new information, listen. You don't have to agree with it, but just listen to it. I'm not talking about hate or when people are spewing some negative belief or concept that is very dated and boring. I mean when someone's saying like, hey, technology is here, how do we find ways to use it? And people are like, oh, the robots and this and that, and it's going to take over. Literally, your car is a robot on some mechanical level. You're not powering it, right? It's power. You put some gas or some source energy in it, it runs itself. You're not technically running it, you're just guiding it, okay? So this is the part where I say, like, we as humans have to learn how to know when technology is here to help us or hinder us. It's not always going to look the way we're going to want it to look, but if it starts to become something where the majority of us like it and the other of us hate it and we don't know why, I would ask myself, why do those people like it over why do people hate it? Because usually you're going to find the disadvantage. If it's people that you know are not using it for the right reason, you're going to find what the disadvantage is. If you are people who are using it for the right reason, you're going to find the advantage and you're going to want to share it and help others, which is what most of us are doing on TikTok. When we find new things about the government and technology and other stuff that we're learning, we share it because we're like, hey, you shouldn't have to just sit and find out the hard way. You should know this because it helped me. It might help you. That's what it's for. So anytime you come encounter with new information, don't just shut down and shut it out because it doesn't resemble something you recognize. Ask questions, validate its validate what it does for you in your life. And if it validates somebody else, kudos to them. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. There's so many things in this world that don't work for you but still works for others. It doesn't mean that you have to try to suppress it. Again, I'm not saying everything. Remember, when we have these conversations, I'm not talking about evil, mean, hateful stuff. I'm talking about general conceptual things that we can focus on as a collective. So go out and ask questions. Go out and investigate. Utilize new technologies. Utilize new information. This is how we grow. This is how we expand the consciousness of the collective. Anywho, hope that makes sense. I love ya. Mwah.